I just want to talk a bit about something that I've always believed in or haven't believed in, and that is fate and stuff of that nature. You know, there was a big change in a lot of people's lives when the Soviet Union collapsed. And for some people, when the GFC made them lose their life savings, Bernie Madoff, stuff like that, that was a real change in their life. Not quite as much as the change that people who lived in the Soviet Union experienced when that all fell to bits, but there's some people that are going to go really well in any sort of paradigm change, in any sort of thing, say a government bankruptcy in the United States or something like that. I sort of look at how hard the Chinese strive and some of the things you hear that they go through and whatnot in the younger days, and then you look at like the Chinese bosses I've had and where they've got themselves and stuff like that. Holy smoke, you know. I saw a couple of videos, and I'll talk about this one first. Nothing to do with off-grid stuff. It's a girl who occasionally I see some of her videos, you know, not every few months or whatever, I'll just see what she's doing or whatever. And that's like this, right? She's not white trash or anything like that. She's 22 years old. Last week she announced her engagement to serious man number 3, and she's already got 4 kids to the previous 2 serious men. I think the last one she was married to. The last one left a year ago. And I remember seeing her in a video saying that she thought it was something that she'd done wrong, but she couldn't quite work out what it was. And exactly a year later, she's engaged to man number 3 at 22 years of age with 4 kids already. Now, this is not some bogan, welfare, bum, feral, white trash sort of girl, but this bloke she's engaged to also has 2 kids of his own. You know, and they're all over the moon. Some people are all over the moon for her. And I said, holy smoke, you know, there's a few people in the comments having a go at her saying, it's exactly a year and you're over the moon with this one, and is this going to end like the rest did, you know? And I sort of start thinking the same myself. And then I said to her, you know, like, did you really, I know you're over the moon now, but you never really worked out why the last bloke left. And I sort of get this sense that in 18 months' time, we'll all be introduced to bloke number 4, you know? And like, you're 22 and already got 4 kids, and then now it's, oh, let's get into it again. Holy smoke, like... This is all really great when it comes to the taxpayer, because they're already footing the bill for 4 kids, and you know, she said she doesn't want any more kids, but so I hope not. Well, you know, if you're a taxpayer in the States, you better hope not. But I sort of look at her as one of these people that sort of, it's fate. It's just the way, you know, it was what was meant to be, as that was all pre-written, and it was going to happen regardless of if I'd done nothing at all. You know, it was just, it's our destiny, you know. I am sick to death of hearing about fate, destiny, and, you know, it's just life. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just life. And I've heard that plenty of times from white trash people that I've come across. And what's the other one? Oh, it's society. It's society's fault. Society's all messed up. You know, I think I might have mentioned this a long time ago. After seeing my uncle's bankruptcy, that really had an impression on me at age 16. And there's plenty of blokes that I've gone to school with who were just sort of gone nowhere, done nothing. In fact, my best friend at school, who I haven't seen for years, or I think I may have seen him the other day, and he sort of stuck his nose up in the air and wandered past like he was something good, but I don't know if that was him or someone else. But he's got a list of qualifications as long as his arm. We were computer geeks, and he got out of school the year before I did and went right into, you know, all these umpteen different university courses related to everything, right down to, you know, like Pixar animations, the whole shebang, you know. And he's got probably more than a dozen qualifications at least. You know, it's probably 15 or something like this he's got. And 2 years ago, my mum saw his mum and they were talking, and apparently at that time, to that date, he'd only worked about 18 months in total. From age 17 to age 31, yeah, about a year and a half. And one of those jobs was building chassis for golf buggies. Another one was as a computer technician at a school. And he met his girlfriend at that school who was teaching there. And the last I heard 2 years ago, he was living in a caravan, which a camper, as you call it in the US, in his parents' backyard with this girlfriend who had since left her job and was having panic attacks, and she's got this panic attack thing, and he's got all the potential in the world and just living in his parents' backyard in this caravan with her. Neither of them working anymore. And now he's taken the tack of, his father had a lot of trouble with weight and arthritis, particularly arthritis, you know, knees, hips, stuff like that. And he's gone and jumped on the disability pension because he's got the arthritis too. And I think he might have got that arthritis at least 5 years ago or so. And if you got bad knees, I think you can still do computer work last time I checked. But, you know, he had the opportunity to really go ahead with all those qualifications. In fact, when he was at this university, he used to have some of the lecturers, he'd actually know more about the stuff in question than the lecturers themselves would. And they told him what you should do is go out and get this thing that you need to get. It's 6 months, a year, whatever it is. And it's basically a small qualification that allows you to be a teacher or a lecturer per se. And there was numbers, you know, numerous ones, like at least 3 of them who were telling him, go and do it, go and do that. You've got so many qualifications, half the time you know more about the subject than we do. Go and get that and you'll be on a good job like us, $70,000, $80,000 a year. Somehow we're stuck in our parents' backyard in a caravan with a girlfriend. You know, you can crap on about fate and destiny and all that bullshit, or you can grab life by the balls, grab the bull by the horns, and flame and make a go of it, you know, and I think it's a national tragedy, actually, when people don't have a real good go at being their full potential that they could be. I had some girl in that, there's probably some little 15-year-old teenage girl or something, when I made the comment to the other girl who's 22 with the 4 kids, you know, about are we going to meet bloke number 4 in 18 months? And this teenage girl had a go at me. Look at your own life. Don't be mean to her. And I said, I bloody well am looking at my own life. I might be out of a job, but I'm still waking up before dawn often enough. Hell, I was moving logs with a wheelbarrow in the rain before the sun was up with a raincoat on and a headlamp on the other day, you know, and I'm getting into it, I'm charging away, but most of all, I don't have 4 kids that the taxpayer is footing the bill for because I deliberately planned not to stuff up. And that was one of the main things, you know. I thought, you don't need to become a millionaire in life, but if you do anything, just plan not to stuff everything up in your life like so many people that you've seen around you. You know, I see some rippers at the welfare office. If I can find where I saved it, I might put a link in the description to one of the sort of rippers that I see who somebody candidly filmed in the city that I go to, who's well known, and you know, a few people know this woman, and oh yeah, she puts on a performance, so you might want to have a look in the description for that link. What's the other one I was going to say? Oh yes, another one. I think things will bite hard when there's a paradigm change for some people. And, well, this girl might have a paradigm change of her own sooner rather than later. It was a upper middle class American family who was having intervention, that's what they call them, where they basically, everyone gets around and confronts this blooming person in question who's run off the rails. And this girl was pregnant and on crystal meth or some crap, heroin or some bullshit. She's going straight to the bottom. And one of the commenters had a go at the father who was there, all blubbering and pissing in tears and whatnot, you know. And, you know, I understand it's hard to see your daughter go downhill. I believe it was on a reality TV show, and then the brother of this girl who was pregnant on drugs was in the comments saying, yes, this is real, yes, this is real. But somebody had a go at the, you know, father and said, and the whole family, and said, God, this crap, these shows are so bloody cheesy and they're so ridiculous and soft. And I said, yeah, it is. You know, it's pathetic, really. And they need to harden up and wake up. And people said, oh, you're not compassionate enough when you say they're soft and they're useless. They didn't quite get the context I meant it in. You've got people brought up in the upper middle class that had the friggin' red carpet rolled out. Probably more so than my uncle had it because, you know, he was still living in a house with friggin' rubbish everywhere and rats running around, regardless of the fact he owned a lot of property. But you got people here who'd probably have a shit fit if the air conditioning didn't work, you know? And they got the red carpet rolled out to them in life. And they're still going to turn around and bloody destroy themselves with drugs. And you think, you freaking stupid bastards. You know, and if it was me, I wouldn't be pissing and crying with an intervention. I'd probably be punching her in the face. You know, at times I seem to have a lot of tolerance. People may think I have a bit too much tolerance for Troy. They may, you may really have noticed it with Little Miss. And that is the case, but there's some times where I have the tolerance of Hitler, probably. And really, when I see people like that, and I compare them with people, Chinese, you know, there's a Chinaman that my mum knows. They were brought up half-starved. It was a starvation diet. It's a wonder they bloody grew up properly without, you know, having something malformed from lack of nutrition, from malnutrition. You know, they didn't end up like a blimmin' Somalian or something, you know. You know what I mean? And this Chinaman cannot understand vegetarianism because as a kid he was brought up with barely any food at all. And this idea that communism is one of these societies where you've always got a safety net to catch you and the government will pick up the tab for everything, that's not Chinese communism. It's surprisingly bloody harsh, Chinese communism, where if you stuff up, well, they just let you go to hell. And, don't worry, there's plenty of people that just hit the wall and almost starve, and that has been the case, not now, but in previous years. And you look at these people like, Chinese boss who looks at everything, the vineyard one, not the one I make the parodies of, but the vineyard one who would see everything as a possible resource and a possible asset. And you think, why you're asking about if we can sell these wild rabbits to the abattoir? Because in China, they're so bloody hard up, you got to make a use of everything. Why is he going on about there must be something we can do with these snails? Can we bag them up and sell them as food to the French? And it turns out in southwest China they also eat snails. Because they've got to make everything be as productive as possible because they've got nothing. And resources are so tight that if anything is a potential resource, you'll make it a bloody resource, and I think of these people that fight so hard and grew up in such shit conditions, no power, no nothing, worse than any off-gridder I know, and then you got some upper middle class American who would have a shit fit if they didn't have the air conditioning working, who's destroying themselves with friggin' drugs, and you just think, you know what? I cannot feel any compassion. I just cannot, and well, for those people who want to blame everything on fate and destiny, in many ways I believe it's a cop-out to not have to really have a go at life properly and then say, oh, well, everybody else should help me out or, pick up the pieces for me and whatnot. And the other one I was going to say. Yes. There's no opportunity, there's no chance of getting anywhere. Life's tough and that's just the way it is. I've seen some of these white trash do the stupidest crap to themselves and then say life's tough, there's nothing you can do about it. May I remind them that there's a bloke who owns a major television network in this country who grew up in an orphanage. No shit. Is the name Stokes? I think is his last name. Channel 7 anyway. There's, what's the other one I was thinking of? Just have to pause here for a second. Oh, yes. There's a bloke who, sometimes it requires brains to get somewhere too. Like, what I mean by that is a little bit of bloody basic common sense. There's a bloke who, I won't go into the details of it, but basically he was driving along at in between a country city out in the middle of nowhere and whatnot, and there's a bloke hitchhiking. And anyway, he picked him up, and he ended up, he's a nice Christian, this bloke, and a bit of a rough background and whatnot, and a bit of probably ADD as well, to be honest. But he ended up looking after this bloke for about 3 days, and I even met this bloke for a short while there, and holy smoke, I thought he just fell out of a biker's club, this bloke he'd picked up off the side of the road, who was hitchhiking. Anyway, when it's all said and done, the bloke said, well, I'm trying to get back to family in another area because I've broken it off with my wife, blah, blah, blah. She's left me or whatever, so I'm trying to get back to this other city, which I think was in another state. Anyway, he ended up feeding him and all that stuff, and he stayed at his house and the whole shebang. I mean, this is only a hitchhiker here we're talking about. He stayed at his house for 3 days. Anyway, the bloke goes to go and do stuff or go to work or something like that, and well, I'm going to be away for a while, but I know your train's going to come in another 45 minutes, and we're pretty near to the train station, so just go down there and catch the train. And he left the house unlocked with his hitchhiker in the damn house for 45 minutes, an hour and a half, something like that. What do you think happens? This bloke knocked off his gold watch and any other bloody thing that was worth anything, that was small enough to be able to stuff in your pocket. So anything jewellery related, watches, anything else he could find, he got it and walked out. And this bloke's there wailing to me that, oh, you know, it's just God testing me, and I don't know why God makes life so hard for you like this, but, you know, maybe God makes life so hard for me like this because God's testing me. And I felt like saying, or you could not be a dickhead and leave a hitchhiker you met a couple of days ago alone in your house to leave whenever he feels like it while you're out doing something and he's ransacking your house. I felt like saying, man, nobody does that shit. Like, why did you do it, you know? You brought it on yourself. And then, you know, it was all like, oh, it's fate, and, you know, like, oh, God was testing me. No, he wasn't. You were just a dumbass, you know. But anyway, I think it's the quickest way to give yourself a lame excuse not to achieve jack shit. And to run your life like a dog's dinner and then say it wasn't my fault by crapping on about destiny, fate, society, and it's just life and there's nothing you can do about it. And, you know, quite frankly, I've heard so much of it in the last few days that I'm sick enough of it to warrant making a video about it.